Hello, everybody. This is Vinnie Tartamella. You guys know me as the creator of City of Venus, Dead City, co-creator of Through the Woods, the hardcover edition, which should be shipping as soon as next week. I'm getting my books in this week, so fulfillment's going to start soon. Today, I have a very special guest in my kind of creator. Well, I was doing creator spotlights, but this is like the entertainment side of things. This man, I've run into him a few times. We've had great conversations. He's a legend in the voiceover acting arena. He's a great actor. He's done a number of things in TV, film. You've seen him in Star Trek Into Darkness, a number of television projects, which is kind of insane, the amount of work he's done. He's just a class act. One of those people I thoroughly enjoy talking to. One of the most genuine people you're ever going to meet, Beau Billingslea.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Benny. Good to see you, man.
Great seeing you too, my friend. How are you holding up during all this craziness that's been going on?
Oh, actually, it's been fine for us. You know, I mean, we have enough supplies, and we're staying in. Our our daughter and granddaughter came to visit a few days ago, and they just stood on the sidewalk, and we opened the front door, and we had this long distance conversation. But that's what you have to do, you know. I mean, the family keeps in touch with, you know, we text a lot and that. But yeah, it's been going pretty smoothly for us. We have a place where we can go and pick up our groceries, and they go and put them in the trunk for us. So we're faring probably as well as most people, better than most people. How about yourself? You good?
Yeah, it's been a lot of the same too. It's when we do got to go out, grab the essentials, grab your mask. You know, trying to be as safe as possible. Which I'm urging everybody to please do the same. If you do not have to go out, don't. But yeah, we're toughing it. But again, we're still getting a lot of work done. I know many businesses have closed down. The good thing about what I do, I can continue doing what I'm doing. I can still work on these projects. Like I said, I'm going to start fulfilling on this current campaign, which I'm thrilled about. Again, this is the campaign that you guys wanted. I really wasn't going to run this one, but everybody wanted it. So I thank everyone for what's been going on, what's happening here. I want to say a quick hello to the chat. We got a lot of people coming in now. You know, so hail everybody.
Hail.
My voice is hearing. Hail, guys. Yeah, so I'm not going to dive too much into the chat until a little bit later if anyone has questions and stuff, because I do want to have just, again, like this really good conversation with a very classy, talented individual such as Beau. So yeah, so let us know how, like, where do you want to start? You want to start from the beginning, like how you got into acting? You know, can you give us a little bit of a rundown?
Yeah, that could. I'm trying to think. The first time I performed was in 5th grade in the talent show, and I did the ham bone, and then, you know, that.
Yeah.
And I sang Silent Night in the Christmas play, and
Nice.
then I think the next time I did any performing was in college. And it was just a fluke. As you know, I was a jock. I went to college on a football scholarship, and so as fate would have it, I was captain of the football team. And one of my fraternity brothers was directing a play, Emperor Jones, and he wanted me to do the lead in it because he thought it would bring the campus together. Back in those days during the Vietnam era, you know, theater arts and fine arts folks didn't get along with the football players, and we were all in ROTC and doing drills and, you know, getting ready to go in the military. So so they called us names, we called them names, and it wasn't good, right? They were long hair, we had buzz cuts, and so he thought that would, if I did, you know, the captain of the football team, if he did a play, it would, you know, bring the campus together. And so and he told me about it. You know, Emperor Jones is it takes place on a Caribbean island. He's the emperor of the island, and he loses his mind, and he thinks the ghosts are chasing him, and he has a gun with a silver bullet that's going to kill the ghosts, and he has monologues and all of this. So So he told me, he said, so you're on stage a lot and you have monologues and things. And he said, just so, would you want to do that? And I said, it's a lot of focus on me, huh? He said, yes. I said, okay, I'll do it. so
That's
anyway, yeah, we did it, and it worked out. It actually had the effect that he was hoping, because my teammates who came to see the show, and at intermission, they're interacting with the theater arts and fine arts people, and
that is
yeah, it kind of calmed things down. So that was and that reintroduced me into the acting world, and of course, and then my acting career went dormant again after that. And I went, I was in ROTC, so I had to go into the military, but they gave me a delay, so I went to law school. Um, and about halfway through my third year of law school, I decided I think I might want to do some acting. And so a friend, our next door neighbor, had a cousin who had worked with Mike Todd. I don't, you probably don't remember him, but years ago he did the original Around the World in 80 Days. He was
okay.
married to Elizabeth Taylor, and so anyway, she said contact him, and he was in New York, and he was directing and doing the camera work on commercials. So I wrote him a letter. He wrote back. He said, "Yeah, it's a good time. Come on down." He was shooting a Van Heusen shirt commercial that day, and I spent the day with him, and then he told me what to do. He was my angel who opened the door for me. I had to get an answering service. I had to get headshots. You had to get photos, and to
Yep.
join the unions. And at that time, you could just walk off the street and join AFTRA. You couldn't join SAG that way. But once you got a basic union like AFTRA or Equity, then you can join Screen Actors Guild. So I joined AFTRA, and then it went down, and because I was a member of AFTRA, I was able to join SAG. It was $220 for AFTRA, and it was half price for SAG, so it was $110. I don't know what they're paying now, but it's it's a lot of money. It's a lot of
Oh,
money to get into the unions if you can do that. It's a
yeah. Oh,
privilege
I
to pay
believe.
the money, right?
Oh, dude, I believe it. And
Uh,
that's what I'm saying too. It's amazing how that started for you. Like you said, you acted when you were a kid, and then in high school like that. How and the way that it happened too, like you said, you're bridging a gap. You're getting people who are fighting with one another to agree on something and to enjoy themselves, which is exactly like kind of what's been going on a little bit like in my community too. It's if anyone does have any kind of problems, we talk it out. If someone
mm,
disagrees about something, we talk it out. Happened
right.
earlier today. There was a big thing on a friend's channel, but it got talked out. That's how things should be. It should be civil. People should hear one another. And then
Right.
what grows out of that is more entertainment, cooler things like yourself, like you said. It opened up that gateway. You were going to law school. You're thinking about it, and you're like, yeah, I want to get back into acting, and boom, it kind of pretty much happened.
Yeah, that's what happened. And then I started going down to the city because I was in Connecticut, and I was going down to New York and doing this, doing that, missing classes, and uh, but I auditioned for a show, and then I booked it. It was the national tour of the Great White Hope, um, which was it won the Pulitzer Prize, New York Drama Critics Award, Tony Award, everything, all the awards on Broadway that year, and so they had a national tour. And so I auditioned and I booked the national tour. And actually, I was in Cleveland at the Hannah Theater when um, I got word that I passed the bar exam. That's it. So I took the bar, and then went on to do the acting thing.
Oh,
And
wow.
because I was a medium-sized fish in a small pond there, whenever something happened with me, they put an article in my hometown paper. So remember, my
That's cool.
dad called me, and then he sent the article and said Billingslea passes bar exam. And so yeah, that was a kind of overlapping, from the legal thing to the show business thing. But it
Nice.
was it was a wonderful experience traveling the country with a show. But that's how I got in it. And my voice over career started back then,
Hmm.
1969. I did the voice of a coach in a puppet movie. And little
Oh,
did
wow.
I know that I began my career doing that, and then I'm ending my career doing voice. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I still see you on things from here and there. If I left the TV on, I see a commercial, I'm like, oh my God, there's my friend Beau. You know, I'm sure you played pastors and stuff too on TV series recently.
On Oprah's show, Cherish the Day.
Oh,
Oprah has
nice.
a yeah, she has a show on her network. It was OWN, Oprah
Yeah,
Winfrey
yeah,
Network, and I played a pastor in the show, which was a lot of fun.
that's great.
Yeah, working for Oprah was very special. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet her because whenever I was on set, she wasn't there. So, but that that's the luck of the draw. I played a lot of pastors over the years. I did a pastor in Married with Children.
Yeah.
I did a
Oh
pastor
my
in
God,
a
yeah.
show called MacGyver.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, so I've played a lot of pastors, judges, lawyers.
Mhm.
I was a lawyer on divorce court for a while. So
Like
yeah,
you're a very because you're a very respectable man, straight up. You have this presence about you. I know the first time I met you, I believe it was like at a comic shop. You got flown in for a free comic book day, and I was one of the guests as well. And we started hitting it off there. It's because you have something about you that really shines through, right? You can see the genuine quality of you, and I think with some of the roles that you've had, that kind of really there's a reason for it. You know, it's you're bringing
uh,
that genuine performance to it.
thank you very much, Benny. I appreciate your kind words.
Oh my
You
God, my
try,
pleasure.
as most actors, we try to bring legitimacy and honesty to what we're doing. One of
Hmm.
the most profound roles I did was I played a slave in a miniseries in the 80s. The miniseries is North and South, and I played a slave. And
Hmm.
we shot outside of Charleston, which was my birthplace. I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, and so we were filming at this plantation, Boone Hall, outside of Charleston, and some of the filming was in actual slave quarters, which was it was weird, boy. It was weird. But anyway, I meditated. I did all of this work to try to get down to experience what it's like and
Hmm.
to be owned by somebody. That was it was fulfilling in a way, but it was also kind of a jolt to my system too.
Oh,
But
I can imagine.
it was a wonderful experience because my parents. That was the first time my parents ever came on the set. They came down from Connecticut, because it was
Oh wow.
special because I was born in Charleston. So they really had a lot of fun. So that was very special for me to be able to share that experience
That's
with my
great.
parents. But the honesty is, we're all actors. We're participating in telling a story, and we
Hmm.
try to be as legitimate as we can to be the character rather than play the character. And this is the
Right.
same in voice work too. Uh,
Yeah.
it's but the beauty of on camera is you have your body that you can
Hmm.
work with, as opposed to with the
Right.
animation. Of course, the the animation is already done, so you're stuck
Right.
within the confines of that. If it's original animation, then that's slightly different, or motion capture. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I agree. Yeah, because I know like a lot of the video games now, it's all like motion capture with your voice performance. I know you've done some work on that kind of thing as well. Video games, but I do agree, and I know what you're saying because being an artist, I have to get well, artist writer. I have to get in the headspace of certain characters that I'm telling their story. Right? You
hmm
want to know where they're coming from, and I think that is the best way to approach it. Is visualize yourself in their shoes, and depending on what the situation is, yeah, you're going to feel a lot closer to certain topics and things of what a character is going through rather than others. So I totally understand what you're saying on that as well, and that's what I mean. There's a lot of overlap between in the creative world.
hmm
That's what I appreciate, and like I said, you could see genuine performances, powerful things. It's why people know who you are. It's why you continuously got all this great work. I mean, your career is amazing.
I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky. The arts is one area where you can be really good and not make a living. You know that. as an artist.
Yeah.
You have to have some good luck as well, some good fortune,
Right.
because I know a lot of wonderful actors that for some reason their careers they just didn't go. But it's you can be a really good accountant and you'll get a job, really good lawyer, a really good doctor. You can be a really good artist, a really good actor, and not make a living. It's just just the way it is in the arts. So um,
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate that I had the opportunity to have the career that I've had. But as I say, it wasn't without help. Tony Cirillo, who was the first guy I was telling you about, who got me
Mhm.
started in New York, he was my first angel, and Leo Penn, Sean Penn's dad, was one of my
Oh, wow.
mentors. The first
Oh,
show
that's
I did when I
amazing.
came, Leo was a wonderful man. Um, and the first show I did out here when I came to California was a show called Barnaby Jones with Buddy Epson, and Leo was directing it. And
Hmm.
and that's how he and I first met. And then, but he would throw me a job here and there, and he'd coach me. And
Nice.
so, so many people like to think what they've done in their life is, they did on their own. But I think very few people have done things without help. Accomplished things
Yeah.
without help. So I've had my angels over the years, and it started when I was a kid and growing up in my hometown in Meriden,
Right.
Connecticut. People looking out for me, and I remember I had issues with my eyes, so there was a businessman in town who bought contact lenses for me. Um, so it's
Wow. That is, yeah.
I've had a lot of luck. I've had a lot of
That's
luck.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
That's beautiful. I mean, and that's what I mean. Community is very important. It seriously is. And when you have people that are standing with you and helping you out, it's a beautiful thing. And and that kind of love spreads. That kind of good nature, that positive energy and vibes, all that stuff comes into play with everything you're doing in life.
yeah,
It's that's why I like talking to people. I like getting that sense of who they are. I mean, you've seen me at the conventions as well. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm not a giant name. People really don't know who I am. I've done a lot of great work, but it's kind of like behind the scenes stuff. But when they come to my table, when I'm talking with them, I let them know who I am right off the bat. I want to hear what they have to say as well. It's not just, oh, you want to buy my product, okay, and leave. No, I make people feel, like people, because that's how it should be. And if they happen to want to buy things, cool. If not, hey, maybe another time.
yeah. No, I mean
you know?
it's like in the on the convention circuit. A lot of
Hmm.
people they'll walk by looking at my from a distance, looking at my my booth and my banner and all of that, and I'll just say, come on over and talk. You don't need to buy anything. Just come on and chat, because I love to hear
Yeah.
people's stories and about their lives, and how I've heard so many wonderful stories about how my work has affected people in their lives. A lot of good stories that way that I've heard about my work as Jet and Cowboy Bebop, uh, and I mean,
Which we're going to cover. We're going to cover that very soon. I know a
okay,
lot of people in chat are bringing it up as well. And I do got to say thank you to everybody too. And going back on that for a second, that's exactly it. When I found out you were coming in town as well, and we were going to be doing the same show, I made it a point to, before the doors open, stop by and say hello. Because again, you're just one of those cool guys that I'm proud to call a friend. Someone who's I've seen personally as well give his time, give his energy into, whenever anyone came to a table. And, you're so thoughtful, you're so kind with people. And that's what I want, more people to see, and, spread that kind of good nature around. Because I remember when we started talking, like, we were chatting for 2 hours, the doors had opened, and we're like, wait, did this start?
right. I really enjoyed chatting with you, man. I mean, like spirits, we're
Oh,
like
totally.
spirits. Yeah, and
Oh,
it's a wonderful thing.
absolutely. It really is. Yeah, my friend here, we got Hatch. He's, yeah, you and Steve. It's Cowboy Bebop was, yeah, something special to everybody. So yeah, he wasn't sure if you could read this, but
Oh yeah, I
I'm letting
can.
you know.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yes.
see it. Yeah.
So
Oh
and he
well.
said, yeah, he's forever grateful. So yeah, if
Well,
you want to start
thanks
talking.
for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. It's all about the
Mhm.
fans, and when someone says something nice about us, it's heartwarming. It's heartwarming to feel that you've entertained people, and in sometimes some situations actually help someone along in their life in a positive way.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I got to say, yeah, that series was one of the first animes that I really gravitated towards.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, I caught an episode here or there, and then I ended up running out and buying the whole collection. Then, like when the movie happened, I was like, oh my god, how did they do a movie? For those spoilers for those who didn't watch it, yeah, the ending was something else, but
Yeah.
that the movie's kind of like in the middle somewhere of the season. I mean, of the series. I mean, I thought that was cool how it was done, and to see all the players come back. That was really special. I'm kind of crossing my fingers. Maybe something like that'll still happen later on.
Oh, we wanted it to go on. We voiced a video game actually, but it never saw the light of day here. Yeah, we actually
Oh, only.
we voiced it, but I don't even know if it was ever released anyplace.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Jeez.
but the Cowboy
Oh yeah.
Bebop the game, you know what I mean? It's like we should be on the seventh iteration of it by now, right?
That's what I'm saying. Jesus. Well, yeah, tell people how you kind of got into voice acting and how that role came to be. I mean, I think they'd be curious to find that out.
Well, I first started voice acting, as I said, I did that one thing as the voice of a coach in a puppet movie. But
Right.
then when I was out here, that was in New York. When I was out here, a friend of mine asked me. He was producing, and actually not producing, but what he was supervising the dubbing of foreign live action films into English. And there were a lot of German films. But whenever there was an African character, he would ask me if I would voice the character. And back in those days too, it's not wasn't as specific as it is now. It's like do a general African accent. There are all kinds of different accents in Africa, right? Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I did it for my father. So I just kind of did kind of a Nigerian Wakanda thing just for my father. And
Yeah.
and yeah, and that was back in the day where we didn't have Pro Tools to slide things, and we didn't have beeps. We just had time codes, so it was pretty nerve wracking actually, because when they play the scene for you, and you say, okay, now let's chase the scene, and of course,
Right.
looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up is makes it difficult, to actually get that sync right, because you really want to get the sync as perfect as possible.
Right.
So consequently, as a voice actor, you actually do memorize, because you're looking down and grab a group of words, a sentence or more, wherever you can, and then you look up and sync it, because it's hard to sync when you're looking down. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so that's how I got started. And then he asked me, it was Doug Stone, and then he asked me, he said, some time lapsed, and he said, would you like to do some anime? And I said, what's that? Didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's Japanese animation, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, I love to. And so I started doing that with Les Claypool and Mary there at Magnitude 8. And spent a lot of hours there, like so many voice actors. And
Hmm.
and it just kind of segued. And as I started, it was just basically kind of just a lark and fun, because I made my living as an on-camera actor, doing
Right.
commercials and a movie here and there and TV shows. And but then who knew? We did Cowboy Bebop, and the whole anime world kind of like blew up here
Oh
with
yeah.
Adult Swim and on
Hmm.
Cartoon Network, and then we did the movie, and so yeah, that was kind of the path of my voice work.
Sure. I gotta say too, man, for what they did, what they envisioned, and how they told that series, it's still, again, that's why it's one of the most fan favorite series. It's that film noir, with that kind of jazz elements to it. The whole thing. I mean, in each episode, like there were those key moments of like on Jet Black, or the ones on Spike, the other characters in there. To me, it was really cool. Ed, when Ed came in, I was like, wait, what's this character at first? And then right away, you gravitate towards him. And it's like, yeah, this character is so cool, wacky, something different, but it worked. And in the context of the story, it's like, yeah, it was a family that worked. All these kind of misfits, kind of you didn't think would blend, but they did.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like the Seinfeld group, you know. Everybody had their shortcomings, yeah, and Melissa did a fabulous job with voicing
Oh
Ed.
yeah,
It was a beautiful character. I really enjoyed it, and I always thought that Ed brought a special sparkle to the show, with considering the other characters, with Ed being so, so out there.
wacky but worked. Oh, we do have a
Yeah.
question. Yeah, do
Okay.
you listen to the original Japanese track to get a feel for the inflections of the voice?
Well, sometimes we do. They call it playing the production for us, so we can hear the like the vocal mood,
Hmm.
the vocal mood of the piece, and or the scene, and also for for levels and for timing. When we're doing a fight, there are all kinds of exotic fights in our world, right?
Yeah,
So we what we do is they call it chasing it. You watch the scene, and then you get a sense of it, and then they play it, and then you voice it as you go,
that's amazing. Yeah,
depending on what you see. Yeah.
right. With a series like that, I mean, did they have like the certain directors? Were they was it all English? Were they translated? Were they how strict were they in your approach to the character?
Well, we were limited by the flaps, obviously, because the animation was already done. So, we do our best to give our personal take on the character. But as I say, we were sort of limited because we have to match the flaps, and you want to ad lib, you have some interesting things you want to
Right.
say, but not but they won't fit. So, I don't know if you remember Mushroom Samba. Um, that episode where they were eating the psilocybin mushrooms and everybody was getting high, and
Oh yeah,
remember that? That's all we
yeah,
had
yeah.
to eat, so we're eating those mushrooms, and so they were shiitake mushrooms. I don't know if you remember the scene. I decided to give it a shot because so Spike says, um, "Hey Jed, what are we having for dinner?" And I said, "Shiitake mushrooms on ice." And so, so, uh, I didn't. Mary Elizabeth said, "Oh, that's nice. Well, we'll see if we can sneak it in, but do a regular one." So I did
Mhm.
another take with shiitake mushrooms on ice, and they used the first one where I said shiitake mushrooms on ice. That's what we're having. But yeah, that was that. Uh, trying to bring a little something special is sometimes can be a challenge, beyond the voice quality. We don't necessarily think about doing a voice. We think about portraying or being a character. And so that was the thing, when the first day we were shooting, I mean, we were taping Cowboy Bebop, recording Cowboy Bebop. Mary Elizabeth, we had to decide what kind of voice that would Jet have, and I didn't know the show at all. So it's Cowboy Bebop. I thought of cowboys, and so I was thinking maybe you talk like that. Ding, he's like talking like a cowboy. And so Mary Elizabeth said, probably not. She explained the show to me. He said, "Oh, I'm not actually a cowboy. I'm a bounty hunter." "Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
we'll trash that idea." And
right.
so, and eventually she said she had this novel idea. She says, "Why don't you just use your voice and we'll tweak it a little bit?" And I said, "Okay, all right." And so we ended up with "Hey Spike, Thai meat." Yeah, what are we having? Bell peppers and beef. We had that yesterday. No, yesterday we had beef and bell peppers without the beef.
Oh man, dude, that brings back so many memories. I'm gonna end up watching the series again soon. I know I will.
Oh, okay. And back then we were using paper. There were no iPads or any like that stuff. So we were using paper. So
Mhm.
periodically we leave notes for each other because we did this individually. Everybody's in the booth alone, separately. And
Right.
I remember Steve wrote a note to by one of my loops. He said, "Hey, Bo, Jet sucks." So I said, oh, okay, it's like that, huh? So I went forward in the script to where he hadn't recorded yet, so he had seen it, and I wrote it. Hey, Steve, Spike sucks, and the Bebop is my ship. But yeah, that was the days when we used paper, so we had, we're scribbling notes to each other, and but it was I felt I don't think any of us auditioned. I think we all were asked to do our roles, but it was a real blessing because we become a family. We're still a family. We have a family text that we communicate
Oh, that's
with each
great.
other, and we did that in '98, so that was what, 22 years ago, and
Wow.
it still has a life. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Thanks to the fans.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. That's why we have nothing but love for you. And another reason why I wanted you on, because again, it's just the respect that we have, and I think hearing from you is really cool and amazing, and I think a lot of people are enjoying that. Um, that's for sure. Somebody asked too. I guess, did you do the voice of Barrett in the remake? What remake?
A Final Fantasy remake. No, I did not. The whole
Oh,
cast, the whole cast was replaced. The
oh,
whole
wow.
cast was replaced. Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing, and not. They didn't necessarily do it in the most let's see, in the best way, but
Right, right.
everybody takes their path in life, and it's show business. So anyway,
Gotcha.
I pass it on to John Bentley.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because yeah, some video game series I either just missed out on, or I was already doing a lot of work. So yeah, I didn't get into Final Fantasy until a little bit later. Like I tried out a few games, like I think Final Fantasy 10, stuff like that. So yeah, no, I know. Yeah, they're diehards, and yeah, again, I forgot the video game world. You've done a lot of work there too, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. As I say, I've been really lucky to. My wife says that I've lived my life like I was on summer vacation. Of course,
uh,
I didn't. I practiced law for a while, but my son is doing that now, so he's practicing law, and I'm playing for a living.
Yeah, I remember when you told me about that as well. You're like, yeah, you gotta make sure you have something to fall back on.
All right, yeah. Well, you know what? That was my father. I
Mhm.
was offered a contract to play professional baseball when I was graduating from high school, and the Kansas City Athletics which is now the Oakland A's, the Oakland Athletics, but it was Kansas City at that time, and they offered me 18 grand. This is in '62. 18 grand. And I was thinking, wow, 18 now that's pretty good there. And so my father, he said, okay, well let's talk about this. And so he said, well, let's say you sign the contract, you get your little 18,000, and then you go down there in Texas and you're playing on these dirt fields with no fans and no crowds, and you don't make it, and you come back home. What have you got? So on the other hand, if you go to college, and I went to college on a football scholarship, right? So if you go to college, you get your education. Then if you want to play baseball, then you can try it. And if it doesn't, you have your education. And he said, but it's your decision. so
Mhm.
my father was great that way.
Yeah,
He had a way to talk me through into the right
yeah,
decision rather
yeah.
than
He steered you toward
forcing
the best.
me.
Yeah, yeah. You choose.
Yeah, he said, so if it's your decision, son, I said, yeah, okay, I'll go to college. I'll go to college and get
I
an
like that.
education so I can
Yeah.
have something to fall back on. And that's what I tell, I have relatives who want me to get them in the show business. They want to be actors. And my approach is get a degree in something you can make a living at,
Mhm.
whether it's accounting or anything. You don't have to get a degree in acting. What you can do is to act on in your spare time,
Right.
but you get your degree, so that if your acting career doesn't work out, then you have something to fall back on. You have a life, And
Mhm.
because when I made the decision to go from the law to acting, everybody's saying, "Oh, you're crazy! What are you nuts?" Blah 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 blah. And I talked to my dad again about it, and so he said, "Well, I spent a good part of my life getting up, going to work to jobs I hated, and he said, I don't want that for you. So if you follow your dream, he said,
Mhm.
you have your law degree, so you can always go back to that. So follow your dream." And so once, it didn't matter what anybody else was saying. My dad said, "You go for it." That's all I needed.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
he
amazing.
fueled my tank, and I just went after it. And they say I was lucky. I had angels to help me. Um, so I was able to navigate the treacherous waters of New York and Hollywood and make a living.
Yeah, and at a crazy time as well. New York was not what New York became.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, New York was interesting. It was interesting, but I grew up in a town in Connecticut, about 40,000 people, and then all of a sudden I go to New York and blah. But it's just, I can tell you a quick story. It's like it was meant to be. When I booked the Great White Hope, I had to find a hotel because all of them were local actors, so they all lived in New York. So when we were rehearsing, and so I had to find a place to live for the month that we were rehearsing before we went on tour. So I'm walking down the street, and out of a city of 8 million people or whatever New York is, I hear this guy say, "Hey, Beau! Hey, Beau!" And it was Tony Mauer, a guy I played football with in college. And he was a year ahead of me, but he was in New York, and he's living in New York, and he was a photographer. And I told him what was up. I need an apartment. I got to find a place to live for a month while we were in rehearsal. Blah 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 blah. He says, "Well, you know what? I'm going to Europe, and I need somebody to sublet my apartment." And it was like the exact time that I needed an apartment. The exact time. Can you
That's
imagine?
yeah,
And so when that happened, I was thinking, yeah, this is meant to be. I'm supposed to be doing this.
yeah. That's a damn good sign.
Oh my God! He just calls me out of nowhere, just walking down the street in the crowded streets of New York, and he needs somebody to sublet his place the exact same time. So that's what
Yeah,
happened. I've been so lucky in my life. It's amazing.
that is wonderful. And yeah, I've actually had situations like that too when I used to live in New York, and it's funny. It's surprising, but like when those kind of moments happen, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I feel like I'm in the right spot. It's definitely
Yeah.
clicking. It's clicking, and it's doing what it needs to do.
Yeah, yeah. And New York is so great because you run into people on the street and you say, "Oh, I haven't seen you in ever. Let's go have coffee." That's the whole thing. Let's go have coffee.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, real quick. People asked as well, what's your favorite character that you voiced?
Well, like Steve Bloom says, all my characters are kind of like my children. You don't want to have a favorite, but what can I tell you? Jet Black he's the guy. I mean, I just so relate directly to him. I have two kids, and I named them Faye and Spike. And no, I'm just kidding. I didn't.
I was going to say, I remember saying, what's that?
No, but yeah, I really relate to Jet, and it was a lot of fun, and the whole experience, as I say, with the Mary Elizabeth directing and meeting all of the wonderful talented folks on the show. It's really made a great contribution to my life, and for that reason, I have to say Jet is probably my favorite voice character that I voiced.
That was great. Now I want to ask you too, out of like the film work that you've done, what was one of your top favorites that you've actually, you had a nice role in, something that you really felt good about?
Well, I had mentioned it earlier when I played the slave in the North and South is a miniseries, so I think there were six episodes of it, and playing a slave, as I say, and in a town where I was born,
Yeah,
um,
a lot,
it,
a lot of connection. Yeah.
it was a heavy experience. It really was, and to actually work in slave quarters where slaves actually lived, it was eerie. But and I made my character was kind of a combination of my grandfather's too. So my mother's father. My mother grew up in South Carolina. My father grew up in Georgia, and so I kind of combined my two grandfathers,
Yeah.
and that was a very special experience. But there was also a wonderful experience I had on a show on Nickelodeon called Just Jordan. It was a live action show. It was a situation comedy. I ran a diner, and my newly divorced daughter comes to live with me with her two children, little JJ, who's a stand-up comic, and his little sister. And the beauty of that was, it's always fun to do a sitcom, and you're taping on Friday nights, and it's a big party. Um, but my granddaughter, did a lot of atmosphere work, extra work on the show, and since she was a minor, my daughter was there too. So if you get to work with your family, there's nothing better than that.
Nice.
And there was the last episode of the first season. The writers wrote this beautiful food fight in the diner, and and my granddaughter happened to be working that day, so my daughter was there, and one of the adults who was supposed to do some extra work didn't show up, so they actually had my daughter working too.
Oh
And
wow.
we were in the diner, and the food fight breaks out, and so my granddaughter is smashing cake in my face and pouring Kool-Aid on my head, and I remember during the take, she looks at my daughter, and she said, "Mommy, this is so much fun," and then she pours this whole thing of Kool-Aid on my head, right?
Of course.
So, if you get a chance to work with your family, I'm sure everybody out there can relate to that. There's
That's
nothing
awesome.
better than that.
Yeah.
That was
Nothing. Yeah, nothing beats those food fights. Like I said, those first ones that happened too, and like Three Stooges. I used to watch those all the time. I see where pie goes.
It's and, when we first got the scripts for that show, I was reading it. I said, "A food fight? Oh, wait a minute. I don't know." But then it was fabulous. It was just
Great.
fabulous.
That is great. We do have a question too. Like, what do you prefer since you've done, all different kind of acting, live
Mhm.
action, voiceover? Like, what is something you prefer?
Well, I'll have to say, stage is probably my preference because you have a live audience there,
Mhm.
and they're reacting in real time.
Right.
Whether you're making them cry or you're making them laugh, or you're just generally entertaining them,
Mhm.
it's like immediate gratification because you have this immediate exchange of energy with the audience. So
That's
from that standpoint, I just love acting on stage.
that's amazing, man. That is
Yeah.
cool. That's what I mean. Like I said, you're a genuine person. That's why you're not going to hear that from like pompous actors. They'd be like, "Oh no, I like that role I did that brought a lot of money." It's like what? No. It's show us who you are.
It said, yeah, that acting, and my favorite play that I've done was Driving Miss Daisy. I did that stage play like four times here, and I was nominated for an Ovation Award the fourth time I did it. Um, and But yeah, that was Driving Miss Daisy is probably the most satisfying stage role I've had because it's very poignant, and as I say, it's people, the audience reacting in live in real time. And I remember after the stage, more than once, a couple of friends came up, a couple of dudes said, "Bo, you made me cry, man." He said, "You're my friend. I know you as Bo, but you lost me. You lost me in that character, and you took me away, and so you made me cry." And that's that hits your heart when you can feel that people forget that you're Bo, that they're just watching you do a character, perform a
Mhm.
character, and it's so believable that you hit their heart. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing when you can bring your gift like that to people. Yeah, that is something special. Taking the written word and just putting it through your filter, how you felt about it, how you got it across. Yeah, to see that kind of reaction is amazing.
Yeah.
I bring it back to comics. I see that when people read the stories that I've done, or the joy in their face at the artwork that I create. I could get, I guess, a taste of that that experience, and
Yeah,
it is
through
powerful.
through It is, and you know, and Through the Woods was. I really enjoyed that, man. People, you got to read that. You got to read that. I just loved Through the Woods. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it, man. Thank you
I
for
thank you, my friend.
letting me see
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. This is the hardcover,
yeah,
everybody. Yeah, both. He's got the originals. I remember when I gave it to him, you're like, "Wow, this is your work." I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I hope you enjoy
yeah,
it."
man.
I'm
Very
really happy.
impressive.
I'm very
Artwork
happy
and
that.
the story.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. My brother Frank, he's the writer on that, as people know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you've met him as well.
Yeah,
Um,
how's Frank doing? He's doing okay.
yeah, he's doing pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, we got a couple of projects that we've been lining up as well and working on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a series that well, actually, it's like a one shot story, but we're gonna make it, a pretty nice size graphic novel. I got like maybe 17 pages done of that, of just the pencils, but I'm kind of spread it all over the place. My current project is a pirate story, which in the back of Through the Woods, I put a 1 page shot of some of the artwork to expect from that.
Oh, awesome, man. I
Oh
love
yeah,
your artwork. I love your artwork.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one. I can't wait for people to see it. I've shown maybe a page or two here and there on different streams, but yeah, that's a big story, and I'm diving deep into stuff as well. I touch upon more real world stuff that actually happened, but I want to do it still in an entertaining way. Like I touch upon slavery in there. Again, because at that time there was a lot of crazy stuff happening, so I wanted to cover things and give a really powerful story on top of it.
Mhm.
That's going to be engaging. Like I said, the characters, I got to get into the head of them, the whole world that I'm building. It's challenging, but I think it's going to be very gratifying once people do get it, because I've been developing the world and concept artwork for it and stuff for like about 2 years on and off in between other work. But I'm getting back into that. So after I mail out all my copies, which should be coming about this week, once I start doing the fulfillment on all this, when that's done, I'm putting my efforts back into that project. After that, I have yet another one, City of Venus, the issue 2. I have the first one is also going live still. This is my current book that I did all by myself. This is like a post-apocalyptic world. Where it kind of looks like all hope is kind of lost until my character kind of comes into the play, and you see kind of what happened to. I could even I'll show the campaign a little bit later, but just there's a lot that goes into what we're doing,
Mhm.
and to have everybody who's so supportive, wants to see more of what's happening. I can't thank them enough, and that's why I try to reward people with either extra cool free gifts. Building now my YouTube channel, getting awesome guests like yourself on, to give a little bit back so people could see how it is, what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. And, it's entertainment, bringing it there. Because we've been seeing a lot of the opposite. There's been too many fights and drama between so many different things in the world, in entertainment. And we're trying to bring this fun stuff back, things that people enjoyed seeing, reading, watching, giving something a little extra special. I did have a question from one of my moderators, though. He asked if you have anything that you're pushing, shilling, anything you want to talk about, because they'll drop links in the chat as well.
Not really. Whatever. That's things are pretty much slowed down here. But we are on non-disclosure agreement so much now that you can't talk about anything until it's out. So I'm just kind of chilling and doing my thing. So I don't have anything to push right now. But thanks for the
But
opportunity.
oh, absolutely. Anytime you want to come back to it, you want to talk about whatever, like if they get the green light and something's going to pop up, you're in. Hit me a line. I'll,
Okay.
I'll gladly get you on.
All
Gladly.
right. For those of
Um,
you who get Spectrum TV, I think it might be other ways. I did the remake of Mad About You. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
okay,
there was an original series with Helen Hunt and Paul Reiser, and then they
right.
came back and did it again. And then so I have it's episode 6 that I have a nice 3 scene arc in that, and
Oh,
So that's out there. If it's, I think it's Spectrum on Demand.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
Yeah, so yeah, check that out, guys.
oh, I do also have four. I have four commercials running too, but that's just that.
Yeah. Keep your eye out for that. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah.
narrow that one down. That's awesome though. So yeah, out of all that stuff, I mean, like I said, you do have an amazing career, and everything that's kind of been going on with you is great. So apparently, when things are going, moving again, you do have something in the pipeline though. You have something that you have filmed and is going to be coming out eventually, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll leave it there. Yeah. You don't have to say anything else. We don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah,
But
we got a couple of things, but it'll be a while before they're, I can talk about them
right,
before they're out. Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah. Oh, how is it working with J.J. Abrams, by the
Oh,
way?
JJ is the best. You know what I liked about JJ? He had such a clarity of vision and clarity of thought. As a director, you can have a vision, but you have to be able to communicate to the actor to what you want. And so
Right.
there's not always, but very often there's a blockage if the director doesn't have the gift of the language to express what his vision is in his mind. And so
Hmm.
there's that communication thing that a director needs to have with it so he can express specifically what his vision is so the actor can grasp it. And that's one of the things I loved about him. He was very, very clear in his thinking and clear in his vision. So he was a joy to work with, and he was
That's awesome.
he's also a really a cool guy. Um, it took, we had a very close set, but it took me a week, but I finally got clearance for my wife to come on the lot, to come on the set, and we were using three different sound stages at Sony, and
Oh,
which will always be MJM to me, but it's Sony now.
yeah.
Um, and so they gave us a van. They finally got the clearance. They gave us a van and a driver, and he took us around to the three sound stages. And she got to walk on the bridge of the Enterprise, and
Oh, cool.
she's just having a ball, right? She's just having a ball.
That's
And
awesome.
then, but she had a lunch, so she had to go. But they happened to be having a break in the filming, so we went over to where I was going to be working. Um, and so Peter Weller was there, and Chris Pine, and Zach Quinto, and JJ, of course, and Bruce Greenwood. So the whole gang was right there in the little area. So it was nice that Cece had a chance to meet them. So
Nice.
anyway, she left because she had to go to the luncheon thing, and I wasn't working that morning. That's why we did that. And then I was working that afternoon, so I was in makeup, and Peter and I were, jazzing around and talking and goofing around, and then they
Mhm.
they would take us from makeup, which is right near our trailers, in golf carts to the sound stage because there was a distance there, and so we. So Peter and I, they're taking us in the golf cart, and we get there, and so they're on a break, obviously filming, and so Peter says, "Oh, Steven's here." I said, "Well, who's Steven?" Who? He said, "Steven Spielberg's here." I said, "Oh." Yeah, I had never met him, right? And J.J. Abrams was well, Steven was like J.J.'s mentor, to
Yeah,
getting him going in the business.
totally
And
aware
so
of that.
they're sitting around talking, and so I said, "I need an introduction." I got you, Bo. Peter says, "I got you," and so he introduced me, and Steven gets up out of his chair and shakes my hand and says, "It's a really a real pleasure to meet you, Beau Billingslea." And he was such a class act, because I've run into some major celebrities who didn't
Not so
really
much.
feel like, yeah, not so much. Didn't really want to give me the time of day, So he was really a class act. That was,
That's great to
and
hear.
and and then I called my wife, later that day. I called my wife. I said, "Your timing is really bad." She said, "Why?" I said, "Well, after you left and we went back on the set, Steven Spielberg was there." She says, "Oh no, I, I miss meeting Steven Spielberg." I said, "Well, what can I tell you?"
Man, yeah, I gotta say, yeah, he is cool, and he is like he's kind of a big kid as well. I remember when I did work at McFarlane Toys. he's the guy that they were making like a lot of like the realistic looking figures. Before Real Scan, like they actually had sculptors go in there, and they called them like the movie Maniac line. And they do anyone from like Brandon Lee from The Crow, and all these different characters, Candyman. But they did a box set of Jaws, where he's actually, when he's attacking the boat, so half the boat is like sticking out of the water, and like half it's sunk, and and you have like the little Shaw, he's inside the mouth. And they sent them over like the double sized one, like because normally in toys it's you make it double the size, and when they go to China, when it shrinks, like the detail is captured better. So they sent him over one, and he sent over a photo. So happy with it, he's sitting like this, like leaning in front of it, and he like a thank you from Steven to everybody who was involved in that. So it's cool to hear and see things like that, especially someone as creative and well respected, in the industry, and he gave us all these great movies, right, for all these decades. So
JJ is amazing. When I auditioned for Star Trek Into Darkness, I didn't even know what I was auditioning for. They had written a monologue, and it was not a Bad Robot. It wasn't at JJ's production company. So it was at the casting director's office, April Webster. And so, I had no idea really what it was. And so my wife said, I said, oh, it's a ship. It's a ship on the ocean. She says, no, I think it's a spaceship. I said, no, I think it's a ship on the ocean, because I'm the captain of the ship and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so anyway, and after I auditioned, they put me on tape. After I auditioned, about 2 weeks passed, and my manager called me, and she said, that little thing you auditioned for? I said, oh yeah, is that going right to video? What is that? Is it going right to DVD? And she said, no, it's a little movie called Star Trek Into Darkness. And I said, wait a minute, would you repeat that? She says, I said, so I'm joining the family? She said, yes, you're joining the Star Trek family. And I remember awesome. I ran into Michael Dorn at an audition, and he said, it was so cool. He said, welcome to the family, brother.
That is great.
Worf. I wanted to tell you this one thing about JJ. That day when Cece came and she left, and then when I came to work, he says, your wife is so just wonderful. And he only talked to her for about 10 seconds, right? And he said, she's just so caring and so warm and so this and that. And then he says, and Cece and Beau, that's the best couple's name I've ever heard. And this is just like out of, it's just like out of nowhere. Yeah, the guy is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like you belong in a soap opera.
yeah, but he knows how to make people feel good. He makes the effort. He makes the effort to make people feel good. And I remember that's who I grew up. I observed that about my parents. They at Christmas time, and they would give random gifts to people, to the mailman, we had the mailman, the bread man, the milkman. Back in the day, the milkman would deliver the milk in the morning, and so they would give gifts, just random gifts, and they were about making people feel good. And that kind of reminded me, JJ seems to be that type of guy, that if he can think of something nice to say to uplift your spirits, he does that. I'm really impressed with him as a human being.
That's amazing to hear. It truly is. Yeah, to show people, let them know that they're appreciated, and it's just not like a quick cheap hello. It's there's something meaningful. That's a good thing. Like I said, that's what I try to bring as well. A lot of times I feel like I'm one of those old souls. I've been told that a million times, even when I was a kid. It's,
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone gets into mischief, but at the same time, it's when you do realize what's going on, it's the logical side of things. Because I was a caretaker for family members twice now in my life, so I learned to value people and respect them. And once you see like hardships, and if you've been in that situation, you appreciate people more, and you want to give back. Right. So that's where I'm always. That's the place I'm always coming from, and much like you and your parents and what they instilled in you, it's that kind of respect that people should have towards one another. It's that helpfulness. That's why I said if there's like miscommunication or something comes off funny or whatever, it's like, all right, let's be adults and talk it out. We talk things out, things will be better, and then let's go back to being positive. Let's go back to showing people like what we're about, But in the same token, I'll defend myself if someone tries to attack me. Don't get me wrong. Like I could be a nice guy, but don't get on my bad side either.
I got you. I got you. All right. You're Italian guy from New York. I got you.
Right. But again, like you said, from New York. So that's why I respect everyone. I've grown up with all kinds of people. And that's what I do. I love. It's that melting pot thing. We're all the same. I don't care who you are, what you do. As long as you're kind to people, you got my respect, you got my friendship, and that's how things are going to build the proper way. So
you can disagree without being disagreeable. That was something my father didn't use those words, but that's what he impressed upon me, that you can disagree with somebody without being disagreeable, calling them names and all of that stuff. And I found that many times that phrase, I've used the phrase, we'll have to agree to disagree and just let it go.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just going on and on and on, let's agree to disagree, change the subject. So we'll still be friends, right?
Exactly, right? Because I know a lot of people, they've lost friendships over stupid things, or they turn things into something else. And it's like, oh, come on. It's, we can have a dialogue.
Yeah, no, really, it's true. I see somebody had a question that came up.
Oh, no, I from time to time, I'll grab somebody of something that they said. They said it's a rare, really rare these days, and something to hold on to. That kind of, that kindness, that good-natured thing, and respecting people. Yeah, that's how it should be.
And random gifts. I remember there would be at home in Connecticut, a mysterious pumpkin would show up on the porch. just out of nowhere, somebody would pop a porch, just leave a pumpkin on a porch. It's just like, but of course, in Connecticut in those days, it's pretty much the same now where we live. You could run through the whole yard, the whole neighborhood, through everybody's backyard. Everybody wasn't fenced off.
Right.
Like here in California, everybody's got a gate and fence and all of that. But in our neighborhood, you can run through the whole neighborhood, through everybody's backyards. And so people would be connecting, and people mowed their own lawns. They didn't have gardeners. And people mowed their own lawns. And Saturday morning, all those the whole neighborhood was with lawnmowers, and the neighbors would stop and chat, and turn off the mower and stop and chat. And it was a wonderful way to grow up. As I say now, and it's probably the characteristic of big cities. It is in LA that everybody has a wall and a fence and a wall, and sometimes people don't know who their neighbors are 2 doors down.
Oh, yeah, because when I grew up in New York, that's how it was too. It's from our backyard, you could just look past and see everyone's on either side. And the thing is, when we did have fences, they were short ones, and it was that classic thing that you'd see like in an 80s sitcom. It's, we're outside talking, leaning on the fence with each other. Neighbors were like family. If something went down, it's okay, you're going to stay with the neighbor, and, while whatever is being taken care of. That's how it was. That's how we grew up as well. So I'm with you on that 100%.
A lot of interaction, and a lot of the kids, we had the woods. We go down in the woods. We make a fort. I had a hatchet, a little hatchet through my belt, and a slingshot in my back pocket, and I had a collie dog, looked like Lassie. I mean, my childhood was like storybook, man. And but I had a slingshot once.
I broke a window, and it was taken from me.
Oh, really? Well,
I was like, I don't know.
Well, they did what they needed to do, because maybe you would have gotten more trouble with that slingshot, But we would use it in the woods. We didn't really do it around the houses at all, because we knew it was kind of a weird thing. But the neighbors. The neighbors, if you messed up, the parents usually knew about it before you got home.
It's funny. It's just like from yelling out a window.
Yeah, no, it's really, it's like, what? but I was lucky for in my life all through my life. My parents were such wonderful people, and they didn't believe in hitting kids, which is
Oh,
amazing. And my father didn't yell at me either. If I messed up, he would give me a quiet talk, and whenever the real quiet talk comes, I figure I know I'm in for it now. He said,
yeah.
let's go, come over here. I need to talk to you. And I
And
said,
and
oh
it's
boy,
it's
I'm in trouble.
yeah, it's yeah, it's definitely yeah, I think that's what sinks in more than anything else. Because when I was a kid, there was a little bit of both, but those those beatings that would happen then were very, very rare, and it's if something was very, very stupid that was done. But
Hmm.
normally it was those conversations, right? Because
Yeah,
again, it was a different time, but those conversations meant more and got the point across more. And it's you didn't want to disappoint your family. You didn't want that kind of stuff to happen. Um,
right.
I saw in the chat somebody said Vinny had poor aim. I guess referring to the to the slingshot.
Oh,
All right, fine. I'll address that. That's when I was standing in the way back of the backyard, and I was testing the distance on this thing. I didn't know a
oh,
pebble
okay.
could go that far, that
Ah,
fast.
so it was a total accident. I mean, it was
Total
really.
accident, yeah. But trust me, and as a kid too, I felt real bad. I'm like, oh no, and that just added to the trouble. It was just like, oh no, no, like, I really did not mean to do that.
No, and you got it taken away. I love my
Yeah,
slingshot. There was a brook behind the house, and there would be frogs, and we shoot and we shoot them at birds, and it never hurt, never killed anything. It would just hit them, and they would jump away. But it was just like target practice. But that
yeah.
slingshot, but my
That's
dad,
our kid.
what he would do is I think I told you about with the baseball story. He said, so I messed up. He says, so you know you messed up, right? I said, yes. So you know you need to be punished, right? He get me to, yeah. So he get me to agree. He said, and I remember this one time. He said, okay, so you can't go out to play for 2 weeks. 2 weeks? It was like you might as well just kill me. You might as
Oh
well
yeah.
just kill me. 2 weeks. It was in the summer, and we lived on
Oh
this cul-de-sac where
yeah.
there was just all kinds of kids, and to be not be able to go out for 2 weeks, it was just like death.
Oh
And
yeah.
I remember my mother prevailed upon him, so he cut it in half, so it was just 1 week. But that had, as a matter of fact, I asked for a beating. I asked it, I asked for a
Maybe
beating.
that-
We had this French family. It was the Dufresne family, and this guy, he had the two boys, Frankie and Joey, and
Mhm.
he would go out in the street. Have you seen Frankie? He was a Canuck from Canada, has this French accent. He said,
Right.
have you seen Frankie? I haven't seen Frankie. And then like 10 minutes later, we'll see Frankie uh, walking really fast home, and him swatting at him, swatting at him in the back, just hitting him. He said, oh, Frankie got it, boy. Frankie got it. But then, like a half an hour later, Frankie was back out playing.
Yeah.
He got it. He
So
got his beating, and that
you saw
was
that, like, hit me instead and let me go out and play.
yes. Give me a beating, and then I go out to play. This a week being in my room, that's not working. Because
that,
back in those days, your room was your room. There was nothing in your room but your
oh
bed
yeah.
and your dresser.
And if you're lucky, if you had some comics or baseball cards, but I mean, how many times are you going to be reading that stuff? It's like, no, you've seen those kids outside
Yeah,
yelling, having fun.
you can hear the kids going out. What are you gonna do? Because I remember one of them. My bedroom was in the front of the house, and so I remember Dougie saying, hey, Bo, come on out. We're gonna go down and make a fort in the woods." And then I opened my window. I said, I can't. I'm on punishment. And the kids, they all like, oh, okay. And then they laughed. It's like
Yeah, they're like, oh, I know. It
no
happened.
commiseration at all. He's just like,
No,
oh, your problem, not ours. We're
yeah,
gone.
yeah. We're going to go have fun. Bye.
Yeah, right. It's a bye.
It's the same thing. Like if you've ever been sick during the summer break, it's the same thing. It's like, oh no, you can't get
Yeah.
out. It's you seeing and hearing people outside having fun. Oh
Oh
yeah,
my
it's
God.
it's
Yeah.
happened. It does happen.
That was terrible because I lived in such a great situation there where, as I say, it was a cul-de-sac, and it was a large one where there was a little grassy island in the middle where the little kids could actually play ball. And so it was, it was a nice large cul-de-sac, but there was just like kids and all these boys. And so in the summer, and like Saturday morning, it was like everybody's, all this noise, kids, and dogs barking, and because dogs weren't on leashes back then. You just open your door and
Yeah.
let the dog out. I whistled for Bullet at the if he wasn't home when we were getting ready to go to bed. My dad would say, "Come whistle for Bullet." So I had a loud whistle, so I whistled for him, and
That's
then
a great name.
about Bullet, right? Yeah. Well, I named him after Roy Rogers' dog was named Bullet. I don't know if you remember or heard about Roy
Oh,
Rogers. He's a
that's right.
cowboy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
His dog was named Bullet, and so even though he was a German Shepherd, but anyway, I named my dog, even though he's a collie, Bullet. So he said, "Go
Yeah.
whistle for Bullet," and I'd whistle, and uh, about maybe 10 minutes later, he come and you can see he's been running, and I would always wonder, where were you and what were you doing? But
Yeah.
he would hear that whistle, and he was like, it's time to come in and go to bed.
That is great.
So
That is great. And yeah, it
yeah,
is refreshing to hear positive memories of America. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That
yeah. Oh
is.
man, the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I think that's why I like a lot of those things, like movies like The Sandlot. The kids with the baseball, like that resonated with so many people. Why people continue to watch things like that? It's that piece of
Yeah,
Americana. It's how things were. Because I'm sorry, like these phones and stuff, they rule us all now, and it's crazy to see where things go.
yeah,
All the silliness, and people just gotta like unplug for a bit. Have a better conversation. I think that's the one thing that might be positive out of such a tragedy that's happening now, because I think that people, at least amongst their own households and maybe some close friends, that they're able to have a better conversation again. They're able to bring back a little bit of that normal way of thinking and viewing things. So at the very least,
right.
I hope there's more of that comes into play, because we have to stay positive. We have to stay strong. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
And back in the day, we had a lot of time where we weren't supervised by adults, so we had to settle our conflicts. I
yeah.
mean, sometimes we'd wrestle it out, or whatever it is. But we socialized each other. We had to figure out
Mhm.
how to get along because there wasn't an adult supervising everything, intervening. It's like with my kids here and growing up in LA, for rightful, proper reasons, they had to be supervised. Having a young child out and about, like we were
Mhm.
when we were kids, and it's kind of dangerous. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
everything was kind of like monitored. Whatever it was, there was an adult monitoring. But when I was growing up, was that I'm going out to play. He says, "Okay, I'll be in before it's dark."
Mhm.
When the street lights come on, you got to be home. And
Yeah, that's how I remember it too.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
a wonderful
I had to
way.
say, yeah, we did have questions in the chat again. We know you addressed it before, like your favorite thing of acting, like you prefer the stage, but someone did ask, I guess out of movies and TV, yeah, what do you prefer doing more?
Um, the big difference between movie and TV is that TV is such a rush. You're rushing all the time. Everything is like you got to do it, got to do it, got to do it. With movies, you have more time. They take more time. You might do maybe a page and an eighth a day, depending upon the scene and what it is. Uh,
Right.
but with TV shows, it's like you got to get the show done in 8 days. You got to get it done in 8 days or 7 days or whatever it is. And the
Yeah.
director's under this tremendous amount of pressure to get all of his shots done every day. And
Right.
so, consequently, like when you're doing a movie, you can cut up and have fun because time isn't so much of a constant factor that you can just you know like you've seen a lot of these outtakes from movies with the stars, like years ago with Don Rickles, or they
Oh my
just
God.
have this whole scene that goes off. They know it's not going to be in a movie, and they just keep
Yeah.
ripping and ripping and ripping, right?
Yeah.
And that's so much fun. But doing TV, because of the time factor, the rush factor, there's not so much of that. And like when I was doing soaps, when I was doing General Hospital and Young and the Restless, I mean, we were doing an hour show every day. An
Yeah,
hour
that's
show every day. At least with, nighttime TV, you're doing an hour show, once a week. We were doing an hour show every day. And so there was a certain amount of pressure on you, not so much to have fun, but to get it done.
oh yeah, I believe
So
it.
from that
And,
standpoint, TV movies are much more of a luxury to
yeah, yeah,
enjoy the process, as opposed to saying, well, and if
I
you're
would
not
think
the
so.
star, you don't want to be the guy who's holding everything up either, so you
Yeah,
think of
yeah,
some
exactly.
funny little bit and you don't do it because the director is saying, I'm dying here, Bo, don't be fooling around, we got to get this done.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's just like you said, if it's not the star who's able to do something like that, or those key performers. Yeah, if it's someone who's not always on or whatnot, yeah, I could imagine. It's like, come on, we gotta go.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
gotta film. When it's done, we're working on the next episode. It's in
That's right.
trust me, yeah, because I've done a little bit of like storyboard work. Yeah, I did a little bit of storyboard work for like some indie films and stuff, and I seen a
Mhm.
little bit of the process, and I've always been interested, like you said, in behind the scenes stuff, and it's cool to see. And yeah, you're gonna have people who are good, people who aren't, people who want to move fast. But I do have a question though, because Married with Children was one of my favorite TV series. How was it
Oh,
working on set there?
oh, it was great. Ed O'Neill he's the best. I really had a lot of fun with Ed.
I love
You know,
that
I
dude.
did I did two episodes. The first one was um, banking on Marcy, and I was a banker, and I just had this little monologue. But then the second episode I did was with the Bundy Thanksgiving, where
Hmm.
this woman had died, and she was an African American woman. She had died, and we are gonna having a funeral. I was a pastor, and and we're gonna bury one of her sweet potato pies in a coffin with her. And Ed wanted that pie. I don't know if you ever saw that episode. Ed wanted that pie, and we were actually at one point we were almost having a tug of war with the pie because I wanted to put it in a coffin and Ed wanted to take it home.
Right. Yeah,
But
it's ringing a bell. I know it because I've seen every episode. I have. It's starting to ring bells as you're talking about it. I'm picturing it too. I can see it.
yeah, I'm preaching and I'm preaching. I got the pie, and he said, "I want that pie." I said, "No, you can't have that pie." Yeah, but I want that pie.
I love it,
Yeah,
dude. Yeah,
he was a lot of fun. It was a fun set to work on. And
that's great.
it's also fun. I got to tell you this little story. When I would go home in Connecticut, for some reason, Married with Children and The Simpsons really made the Fox network.
Yeah.
Those two shows.
Hmm.
And so, but ironically, a lot of people wouldn't admit that they watched Married with Children.
Hmm.
So after I did I think it was the Bundy Thanksgiving, I went home to Connecticut, and a lot of my friends saying, I was channel hopping, and I saw you on Married with Children. I don't watch the show. I don't watch the show, but I was channel hopping, and then I heard that story like three times. And I told my
Hmm.
dad, I said, "Wow, a lot of people don't watch Married with Children here who actually watch it, but they didn't want to admit that they didn't want to
Yeah.
admit that they watched it. That was
It,
so
it
funny."
isn't it funny how so many people are pressured they wouldn't admit certain things like that. I'm sorry,
Right.
this show was great because it made fun of everyone. It made light of everything, and for him to be a shoe salesman who he was this star athlete in high school to his whole life is destroyed because of the choices he made with his family, but he always stuck with his family, throughout
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Or whenever he
yeah,
had those opportunities where something good could have happened to him, he still chose his family, and that's where the heart of it comes from.
yeah.
It's like any good storytelling. I don't care what it is, TV show, movie, whatever. If you have a proper heart to a story or the characters, it's going to resonate with people. That's why they're going to like it. And then
Mhm.
obviously, those insults he's had were still memorable, insanely memorable. But it's the fun of things, right? It's bringing that
Yeah,
back. You know, I hate to see things go away because of, everyone has to be politically correct on every damn level. It's, lighten up. Don't take everything so seriously. Because if you are, where are you going to be? You're going to be uptight. You're going to be protesting things that you be scratching your head like, what did I do with my life? Have fun.
Have some fun. Yeah, but that's it. I want to, as I told my wife, I want to laugh my way into the grave.
It's like you brought up Don Rickles. I love the Rat Pack. I love everybody around that time and what they did. And there's a reason why those kind of people became fan favorites immediately. There wasn't much television programming back then, and the stuff that was there, it had to be really entertaining. It had to be good. It had to pull you in. And then you see how these superstars like Frank Sinatra or whatever, how they are with their buddies. There's a fun element to it that people can connect with. And like, oh, okay, they aren't just these icons that we're just staring at and worshiping. They're real people. They're having a good time. They're making everyone happy. Let's get back to
that. Forget about it. Let's have some fun.
Right, forget about it. It's a beautiful thing. But I don't want to take too much of your time. If you want to stick around for I'm just going to show my campaigns real quick. So anybody who wants to take a look at what I got here, I'll just run over it real quick. So I won't spend too much time. A lot of people they've seen this regardless. So through this was City of Venus. This campaign is still alive. So anyone who does want to pick this up, please do. I put my art books on this campaign as well. So if you guys are looking for beautiful artwork, I have. Actually, where was it? Beau, actually, the first time I met you, you had gotten this piece. You had got my Dorothy piece.
Yeah.
I remember. You're like, oh, my wife's probably going to kill me. You're like, my wife's probably going to kill me. But, oh, hold on. Did we freeze out? We might have froze. Oh, but if it unfreezes, we'll get back to you in a second. I just wanted to say real quick, these campaigns are running. Oh, wait, there you are.
Wow.
You with me now?
Nice.
I know it froze for a sec. Yay, technology. But yeah, this is my project. The whole world is void of power and destroyed except for this floating city in the sky and all the kind of evil, corrupt people who live there and what they've done to the world. My approach on that story was those secret people who are behind the scenes, calling the shots. What if they actually did get what they wanted? And in my story, it's set so far into the future. Well, they destroyed everything. They literally separated themselves from everyone. They think they're above everyone. And you see where kind of the story's going to go from there, and their experimentation on people because they want to prolong their lives. There's a lot of interesting stuff I have going on. I'm going to touch upon some science elements as well, and then obviously my character kind of comes into the fold and she sees one of the survivors who's still around, and the kind of the story and the journey goes from there. So again, most people in chat, they've seen this or they know about it, and those who are new, please check it out. I have the links in the description to this actual live stream. And again, I put my art books in here. What I was showing Beau, it was the back of one of the art books. Again, this thing is loaded front to back with almost all my artwork. And then it's been broken up into 2 volumes. So those are both available on this campaign. So yeah, guys, check that out when you can. Through the Woods is the current one. Again, this is the campaign that everybody wanted, so that's why this exists. We upgraded to hardcover. It's oversized. It's in comparison to a regular comic. You're gonna get a much bigger book, so you're gonna see all the beautiful artwork. The story is gonna be a lot more clear. It's there for you guys. I want to thank you for all the support as well. I mean, we're so close to $30,000 on this campaign. I can't thank you guys enough. Most of the money is going into the production of this, mailing it out. So, and anything that's left over is going to the next campaigns. So thank you, everyone. This has been amazing. Thank you, Beau. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, to have you on. Again, you're one of those classy individuals who I have so much respect for, who you really inspire me with your performances. Because when I'm creating, I'm thinking about acting performances as well. I'm thinking about stuff like that. Because I'm creating a world and I'm trying to see what's going to fit, what's going to look better, what's influenced me in my life. You're definitely one of those people who have inspired me. And like I said, I'm honored to call you a friend. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you so much for your kind words, and it was a lot of fun chatting with you. And for all you fans out there, Vinny's a terrific guy, and he's a wonderful artist. I can tell you
Thank you.
firsthand.
Thank you so much. So I want to thank everyone who's in chat. Sorry if I missed any of your questions. Again, if Beau ever wants to come back, you're more than welcome. And whatever we missed here, we'll cover next time. As long as you're okay with it. You had a good time, right?
I certainly did, and it's a deal. I'll come back and we'll chat some more.
Thank you so much, my friend. So as I say always, remember, kick ass while you create, but be kind to one another. So thank you again, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.